Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Wednesday, April 21st, 2010. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London. In Mexico City, it's 10:30 a.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. We have a birthday today. We'll pop the birthday celebrant up. You will recognize her. She is 84 years old today. So our congratulations to Queen Elizabeth and to all of the residents of Great Britain. We'll now go to our main story. The main story continues to be the big ash. It's dissipating. Flights are beginning to go again. But airlines say that they've lost about $1.7 billion during the ash crisis. Air traffic has lifted all restrictions on German airspace. This means that some of the busiest airports in Central Europe are up and running. The International Air Transport Association called the economic fallout from the six-day shutdown devastating, urged European governments to examine ways to compensate airlines for lost revenues, much as the American government did after the 9/11 terror attacks. The IATA said that it'll take 3 years for the industry to recover from the week of lost flying time. Eurocontrol, the continent's air traffic agency, said 21,000 of 28,000 scheduled flights are going to fly today. Some restrictions do remain in force over parts of Britain, Ireland, and France. Spain has turned into an emergency travel hub. None of their airports were closed. Over 40,000 people have transited through the country. One of the interesting points that comes up is that the airlines lost $400 million during each day of the grounding. At one point, 29% of global aviation and 1.2 million passengers a day were affected by the airspace closure. Now that means the total industry loss of last year was $9.5 billion. They were already forecast to lose another $2.8 billion in 2010. So if you add on top of that the $1.7 billion caused by the volcanic ash, apparently it leads up to a devastating crisis. And as we already reported earlier this week, the airlines are not covered for business interruption, nor are they covered for volcanic ash. So the airlines are beginning to make noises about trying to recover some of this cost from possibly the governments. The first grumbling popped up now with Lufthansa. Lufthansa's CEO made a couple of comments yesterday. This morning, Wolfgang Mayruber said that the European government decision to suspend air traffic because of the volcanic ash cloud did not reflect reality. Mayruber said that the word cloud was not the right word to use to define it, and he said that airlines often fly through sandstorms and other hazards which put particles in the air. He said, it's a delusion. There will be ashes in the air, but it's a question of how dense it is. He said that the airline's losses would be considerable, but he wouldn't quantify Lufthansa. He did say that he would like to discuss the effects of the disruption with European governments, but he's not asking for a bailout. Meanwhile, in Berlin, the economic minister, Rainer Bruderli, said, I very much welcome Lufthansa's statement earlier that there is no intention to approach us for financial aid. This is going to be a succession of remarks that are going to be made now by the airlines. They're desperately going to be looking for some compensation. In the United States and the Gulf of Mexico, at least 7 people were injured and up to 15 are feared dead after an explosion at an oil drilling platform in the Gulf off of New Orleans. The explosion was reported on the rig, which is 52 miles southeast of Venice, Louisiana, at 10 p.m. local time last night. It was still burning as of this morning. According to local TV news, everyone got off the rig after the explosion. However, as of 3 a.m. this morning, they're still missing 11 people. Apparently, the oil platform is called the Deepwater Horizon, and it is owned by Transocean, and they in fact had leased the rig to British Petroleum Exploration and Production. In South Africa, right in the capital of Pretoria, a train derailment just after it left the station killed 2 people. The train involved was the luxury Rovos rail train. derailed just outside a station in the capital. 2 people died at the scene, 25 other people were taken to the hospital. The cause of the derailment was not immediately clear. Meanwhile, this man, well, if he reads the newspapers or watches CATEX-TV, he can sleep a little bit more easily. The American government earlier today ruled out a military strike against Iran's nuclear program anytime soon. It said that it hopes instead that negotiations and UN sanctions will prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. According to the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, Michelle Flournoy, military force is an option of the last resort. It's off the table for the near term. The U.S., of course, fears that Tehran is building a nuclear program and not going to be used for electricity, as the Iranians claim. The Ukraine and Russia made some news. Here's a picture of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. Well, they're going to get to extend the lease on the port in Sevastopol, which is in the Ukraine, beyond the expiration of the lease, which was set to expire in 2017. This is the first concrete sign of the warming between Russia and Ukraine since the new president, Viktor Yanukovych, took over in February in Kiev. Yanukovych has said that he would extend Russia's lease on the base in the Ukraine. His predecessor had fought to kick the Russians out, saying that the fleet was a hostile presence on Ukrainian soil. What do they get in return? Well, Russian President Dmitry Medvedev said that the Ukraine would receive discounts on gas shipments, and there's also a little matter of a Russian promise to invest $40 billion in the Ukraine through 2020. So that's a pretty good deal. The stock market in New York right now is down about 5 points. We'll go to a word from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news.
Every day, the world wakes up and goes to work, pursuing the unique opportunities that lead the global economy forward. The complexity and close connectivity of today's global marketplace is a true modern miracle that can create unparalleled success. But it takes confidence, passion, innovation, and understanding.
Enabling opportunity.
Protecting capital.
Engineering innovation. Investing in your future.
Ensuring continuity.
Finding the right balance.
It takes Aon.
Well, you wouldn't want to play poker with Andrew Cuomo. He has one heck of a hand, as Hank Greenberg found out yesterday in court. New York Supreme Court Justice Charles Ramos, after hearing a motion from Greenberg to dismiss the state's civil fraud case, said that the state's case against Greenberg was in fact devastating. After hearing David Boies, Greenberg's attorney, make a motion for a summary judgment in the case, the judge said that the state had put together a devastating case, a very strong case, and we both know it. Cases, of course, were originally filed 5 years ago by then AG Elliot Spitzer. As for the motion to dismiss the case brought by Greenberg, the judge said to the parties, "Don't hold your breath," saying that a decision would not be forthcoming anytime soon. Well, there's a new reinsurance company that may be emerging. This is coming, it's only being reported by Insurance Day in an article by Herbert Fromm from Cologne. So I'll read a little bit of it. A number of experienced Swiss re-managers under the leadership of Philip Ragazzoni, pictured here, are preparing to set up a reinsurance company in Switzerland. This is according to European sources. To date, Ragazzoni has been employed as the senior management at Swiss Re, and previous to that, at Swiss Re. Both he and other former or present Swiss Re employees will be leading the company. The company is going to be capitalized with about 1 billion Swiss francs, about 938 million US. The startup investors have not been identified. In the European reinsurance community, the news of a new entrant was greeted with some skepticism. One board member of a reinsurer who wished to remain anonymous said, quote, "Never catch a falling knife." By that he presumably meant that reinsurance rates in general are falling at the moment, and added capacity is not the way to stop them. He went on to say that the only